Hello everyone, welcome back. This is your girl Tebalo with yet another video. So this week on Keeping Up with the Royals, we are going to do a sit down and we will be discussing the application process of becoming an ESL teacher in South Korea. So grab your tea, grab your notebook if this is relevant for you, and let's get started. You've made your decision, you've weighed your options, the disadvantages and the advantages, and you've made your decision. You are ready to come to South Korea to work here. So I am going to try and break it down into the three parts of what kind of jobs you can apply for. So we have the hagwon, to become an ESL teacher at a hagwon, to become an ESL teacher at a public school, or you can also just become an English teacher at an international school. What do you need for the three programs? So number one, becoming an ESL teacher at a hagwon. A hagwon basically is a private school or an afternoon program. There are two types of hagwons. We have the one that works from the morning till the early evenings, and we have hagwons that work from the afternoon till the late evenings. I am currently working for a kindergarten, which is the first option. So you work from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. and from 9 a.m. to 2:40 you have your morning students, which are the learners of the school, the kindergarten. And then from 2:40 until 6 p.m. we have afternoon lessons with children from different schools. And then we have the other one, which just works with afternoon program, which means that it's like an extra class where different people from different schools go and they are there to learn English. So what are the requirements for ESL teaching in a hagwon? You need a bachelor's degree and no criminal record. You need to speak English fluently, and you can have a TFL certificate. It is recommended if you've never taught a day in your life, but it is not necessary. So your second option, which is the EPIC program. I can't tell you too much about the EPIC program because I didn't go through with the EPIC program. So I can tell you everything that I do know though. So the EPIC program is a government program where they place you in a public school and you teach English there. The hours are great. You start from 8:30 until 3:30 in the afternoon. So like I said, I don't know a lot about it, but I do know some things about it. And what you need to apply for this job, the requirements are a bachelor's degree in any field like the first one, and you need to speak English fluently. You need to also prove that you are from an English speaking school. This is for if you come from South Africa. For other countries, I don't think you need to prove this, but for South Africa, you need to prove that you were in an English speaking school for 10 years. So from primary, high school, you need to prove that, and you need to go to your school and you need to ask for letters from those schools to tell the EPIC program that you were in an English speaking school for about 10 years. And you also need a TEFL certificate. It is not what? What's the other word? It is compulsory. So it's not optional, it's compulsory, and you need no criminal record, and you also need recommendation letters from two of your heads somewhere where you worked. So it can be where you worked or a lecture, but it has to be someone that was in a superior position than you were. So that's as far as I know with the EPIC program. There could be more. So when it comes to the EPIC program, do more research. Then number 3 is an international school, which I can talk about because I also applied for it and I got a contract, but I didn't take it because it started later than the contract that I got. Anyway, another story for another day. But with an international school, you need to be a teacher. So with EPIC and Hagwons, you don't need to have teaching background per se. You don't need any teaching qualifications. But with this one, you need to have a SACE certificate. You need to be like a licensed teacher. So with working as an international school, you also need a bachelor's degree in, I think it can be any field, but I think you need a teaching certificate as well, because they wanted my PGCE. And yes, so requirements for this one is a bachelor's degree in teaching. You need to specialize in teaching, a teaching license, speak English fluently, TEFL certificate recommended, no criminal record. Okay, so those are the requirements. Now I want to step into the process itself, what you need to do to acquire all the documentations that needed to work in South Korea. Okay, so after you've established that you qualify for the job, what's next? Personally, I looked for the agency that would find me the job, a recruiter that would find me a job. So you can go on Dave's ESL, or you can also go on Facebook. There are a couple of Facebook groups that you can look through where they post jobs daily. But my recruiter was not the one that found me a job. That's why I put looking for a job later in the process again. So I will break down looking for a job in the process later again, and I'll tell you why. Because most recruiters, when they see that you don't have any of the documents, don't really pay a lot of attention to you. But my recruiter kind of like walked me through the process. So it's a win-win situation. You can look for the job now, or you can look for it later. It's a win-win, right? So after you've established that you do qualify for the job and you found a recruiter or you found a job, you can start looking at the documents that you need. I'm going to tell you what document you need, the cost of the document, and the time frame for the document, the process, and some side notes for each document. So if you don't already have a passport, it would be a good idea to get a passport. If you already have a passport, make sure that your passport will not expire within maybe 1 year of you leaving. Okay, so if you are planning to leave in March, make sure that your passport will last you for a whole year, because that's how long the contract lasts, right? And the price for a passport, I got mine late last year, and I already had a passport, but another one of those situations, name change and whatnot, and I got another passport because my documents were in one surname and I wanted my documents to match with my passport. Okay, so I got my passport last year in August, and it was 400, but apparently the prices have gone up, and the price for a passport now is 600. So budget for that. The internet says that the time frame for a passport is 7 to 21 working days. So also budget for that time, but it can come earlier. So when I did the passport for my kids, it was like I did it on Monday, and on Friday I got the SMS. But for myself, I didn't get the SMS. So also be careful when it comes to the SMS. Don't wait for the SMS. If you want to go check for your passport, maybe after 7 days or after 14 days, which is the time frame they give you at the Home Affairs. So if you want to go check for it after 14 days, you can check, and you'll probably find it, because I find that the passport period doesn't take that long. But different strokes for different folks, so be careful when it comes to what I'm saying and how it might work out for you. And the side note for the passport, or the process for the passport, is of course you go to Home Affairs with your ID and the money that you need to get the passport. Make sure that it's in cash, or rather it's recommended that it's in cash, because when I went to the Home Affairs, I was already in the queue, and then when they got there, they were like cash only. So I had to go to the ATM and get cash and come back. And when it comes to photos, you do not need to take photos for a passport anymore. They take them inside like the ID. So they are digital photos. You don't need to take your photos. Take your ID, proof of residence maybe, I'm not sure if you'll need it, and have cash. And then also make sure that your passport, if you do have a passport, won't expire within the 12 months that you are in Korea. All right, clear? Number 2, or it can be number 1. Okay, so the order of the process can be in any kind of way, but I think the verification letter should be number 1. It should be something that you do ASAP, because for me, in my experience, it took quite a while to get the verification letter. And also another thing, when it comes to the process of doing these documents, you can do them yourself or you can go through an agency. I started by doing them by myself, and then later on I got an agency because it was just getting too stressful for myself. So verification letter, the price is 650 if you're willing to wait for the normal 21 days or 10 days to get a quotation. But if you want your verification letter urgently and you have the money, you can pay 2,000 Rand for the expedited service. So it's either you pay 650 and or you pay 2,000 if you want the verification letter very quickly. So what you need to do when it comes to this one, the process is you send an email with the verification form. So you're going to go onto the site and you're going to get the form as well as your copy of your bachelor's degree in color. Okay, so when it comes to the verification, you send an email to the to Saqa, and the email is your verification form that you filled in and your bachelor's degree, and then after that they will send you a quotation. After you've gotten the quotation, you will send the money. You will send the money to Saqa. They'll also send you the banking details, and then after that they will give you a verification letter. But how long that will take, only God knows. I'm serious, guys. When it comes to Saqa, you need to be drinking chamomile tea and some mint tea, and really be keeping yourself busy with other things so that you do not get stressed out. When it came to Saqa, this is where I decided that I'm out. I'll get an agency to stress about it. So that's where I tapped out and I got an agency to do it, and they did it much quicker. So I'm going to leave a link of the agency that I used if you're interested. And for the agency, you're still going to pay for 650 for the verification letter. And because I had already done my police clearance for myself, I paid a total amount of 1.6 some couple for the agency to do my verification letter, to take my things to Deco, to take my my police clearance to Deco as well. So I'll explain more on that later on. But when it comes to the verification letter, be patient because it might take longer than the time frame that they set there. And if you don't get any response within 21 days, send another email, because apparently they delete your email and they just they section it as something claim that has not been processed. So Saqa verification letter, and after you've sent your email to the Saqa for the verification letter, you can start with your police clearance. You don't have to do it after. It can be, they can overlap. You can do your Saqa at the same day, on the same day as your police clearance. But I do recommend that you start with your Saqa so that you get your coat and everything, and by the time you get your police clearance, you also have your verification letter, and you can send them both to Docu. So the next one that I wrote here was the police clearance. The police clearance, this is to check whether or not you have a criminal record or not. And that was 160 Rand. And they wrote on the internet that it takes up to 8 weeks. I'm going to explain to you how I did it, because I was lucky enough to be in Pretoria, next to the Criminal Record Center. But if you are in another province and you're further from the Saqa, from the center, then it will work differently for you. For me, I went to my nearest police station, to the nearest police station to get my fingerprints done. When you go to your police station, make sure that you have a copy of your ID, okay, as well as the proof of payment. So you've already paid. Find out the account details, pay 160 into the account, and then when you go to the police station, go with your ID copy and your police, go with your ID copy and your proof of payment to your ID, to your SAPS, to get your fingerprints done. So you're going to get your fingerprints done, and they can do one of the two. If you are maybe in Pretoria, or if you maybe say that I want to take my fingerprints myself to Pretoria, they can give you your fingerprints. Or if you want them to do it, if you are maybe further and you can't go to Pretoria, then you can maybe do your fingerprints, and then they're going to take your documentations, keep it there, and then they will send it to Pretoria and you will get it back. Apparently it takes longer when you do that, so bear in mind. For me, because I was in Pretoria, I went to an SAPS, I got my fingerprints done, I took my documents, and I went to the center, the Criminal Record Center in Pretoria, and I dropped off my things. And after 2 weeks or less, they called me and told me that my police clearance was already available. And when you do the other one, where you leave your things with the SAPS in your place, apparently they wait for a certain number of police clearances before they send it to the center in Pretoria. So that could take quite longer. The waiting period for this one can take up to 8 weeks. So if you want your police clearance faster, maybe you can opt for going to the police clearance center in Pretoria. If that is not an option, you can also use an agency. So with an agency, you send them your fingerprints and they will take it to the center and do everything for you. But that may change the price that I gave you for the agency, because I did that for myself. I gave her my PCC and I needed my verification letter. She did that for me, and it was 1.6 for everything, but I had to pay 650 separately. So I hope that makes sense, guys. When it comes to the police clearance, side note for that is that remember it expires within 6 months. Make sure that it is within your time frame of leaving. So if you've got a job, the starting date is 1st of March. Make sure that maybe you do your police clearance in like November or December, because they are going to need your police clearance for the visa process. And this is also when you already have the job. I hope all of that makes sense. So now you've got your police clearance, you've got your verification letter. What's next? Make sure that you wait that you have both of them before you take them to DIRCO, because it's just easier that way. And when it comes to DIRCO, I don't really know the process, but from my research, Uncle Google, the DIRCO services are free of charge, and they can take up to 5 weeks to get that done for you. Mine took 3 weeks, and that was also done for me by my agency. So it was included in the price that I paid, the 1.6 that I paid for the verification letter to take my verification letter to DIRCO and my police clearance to DIRCO. So that is as much as I can say about it. So you just send the documents to DIRCO, and then they apostille it or notarize it. Hey, those words it was the first time I met those words. If you need words. It was the first time I saw those words when I started this process, and I was looking at the positions or the post, and they were like, you need to have a notarized or an apostilled. And I was like, what is that? So that should not scare you. Taking them to DIRCO will notarize it and apostille it for you. It's like getting a certification stamp from the police, but now you're not taking it to the police station, you're taking it to DIRCO, so that they can verify that indeed you do have a qualification and indeed you do not have a criminal record, so that you don't send fakes to South Korea. Apparently this process was added later on, later on in the process, because they got a lot of fake documents in South Korea, so they wanted you to add the DIRCO. So some people that started a long time ago with the process wouldn't know that they have to go through DIRCO. Yeah, so that's the next step. So now you are done. You have your apostille documents, you have your passport, you have everything you need. What is next? Like I said, you can start the process of looking for a job earlier on, or you can start searching for a job while you're waiting for your documents at DIRCO, because now this is the last and final step. I found that would be the best time, because for me, I started after I got all my documents and my police clearance was about to expire, and I was a bit desperate. So to get the job before the police clearance expired. So it would be better for you to start looking for a job before you start the process, or before you take your things to DIRCO, or once you've sent your things to DIRCO, then you can start with your process of looking for a job. When you're looking for the job, you can go on Dave's ESL. I'll leave a link, or you can go to different Facebook groups, find yourself a recruiter, and they'll find you a job. So those are the options that you can do. You can either find a recruiter and they'll find your job, or you can go through the EPIC program, go directly to the site, or you can find a school that's looking for a teacher and work directly with the school. Okay, so I'm going to break that down a little bit more. Okay, so looking for the job. When you're looking for the job, apply as much as you can, because firstly, there are a lot of schools that are pretty dodgy, to say the least, and you don't want to end up with a dodgy school. And apply to as many schools as possible, because some of them don't respond. So of course, when you're applying, you apply to as many institutions as possible. Okay, so when I started the searching for jobs, I had already had my documents with me, and I went on to Dave's ESL Cafe. I looked for a job. I especially wanted to do a direct hire, which means I wanted to speak directly to the school. I didn't want to go through a recruiter. Okay, remember I said I had a recruiter, but my recruiter was not the one that found me the job, because my recruiter was sending me jobs of schools that are on the blacklist. So if you want to know if a school is a good school or a bad school, there are different platforms to look at the schools that they have in South Korea, and people leave comments on their experience or their reviews of the school. So you can go to the Blacklist. I especially use the Blacklist. I know you can go to Reddit and there's another one, but I'm going to leave a link to the Blacklist because that's the one I went to. And you can check out the school and its credibility and how they treat people, and you can tell if you want to work with a school like that. So for me, I had a recruiter, but the schools that they were sending me were schools that were all on the blacklist. So I didn't take any of the schools. I went to the interviews, but I didn't go with the schools. And then I also did do my own applications with direct hires. I went to a couple of interviews, but I chose my specific school because the lady that I was interviewing with was very nice, and I just felt a connection. She was very honest and transparent about the whole thing, and she told me all the things that you would find on YouTube about the experiences of people working in South Korea. She was very honest about how it can be not so nice and how you can find a lot of racist people and so on. So I loved that she was honest from the onset and she didn't try to paint this beautiful picture. So that's why I went with the school that I went with. I also had another interview with an international school, like I said before, and I got the contract, but it started in February and I wanted to go in January because my PCC was expiring in January, so I had to do my visa documents by then. Apparently you don't really need to worry about that because once they've done the visa for you, even if you are going in February, they can do the visa earlier on. So yeah, anyhow, so yeah, what else can I tell you about this? So yeah, when you're applying, look at the different posts on Dave's ESL, Facebook, and you can go through a recruiter or you can do it yourself. And when you are doing the interviews, use your intuition as much as you can, because there are a lot of dodgy people out there that really just are out there to do business. It's not about the well-being of the teacher or the child. It's just about the business. So use your intuition. If it doesn't feel good, don't force it. Don't be desperate. Weigh your options and go for the school that you feel will suit you the most. Yeah, and do check the blacklist because there are quite a number of schools, especially franchises, on the blacklist, and people are crying about the way they treated them. So yeah, that was the application process. And so when you are going through this process, guys, I would advise that you do as much as possible as much research as possible, because you want to be sure, first of all, what kind of school you want to work for, what kind of hours you want to work, and the kind of working conditions when it comes to the vacation days, the benefits, and so on. I will have another video where I do describe the different benefits. I just don't want this one to be a movie. So I'm going to just encourage you to do your research, watch as many YouTube videos as possible. A lot of South African YouTubers have content on the process of application, the different jobs that you can get. So just watch as many videos, do your research online, and also be prepared. Just prepare yourself that you're going to be alone in another country, and that might not be something that you want, that might not be as easy as it looks, and just, you know, get yourself ready. I do encourage you though, when you are going through this process, a lot of things might happen. Remember, this is you trying to step out of your comfort zone. You're leaving your country, you're leaving everything that you know. So there might be some resistance that happens, whether it's in your brain or physically you see things that are trying to stop you from pursuing this goal. Don't stop when you see the obstacles. The obstacles, see them as the universe testing you on how much you want this, and not as a rejection or a no. So if you really, really want this, just go through the whole thing. Make sure that you're doing some routines to fill your cup so that you don't feel drained and you don't feel like you are out of energy. Meditate, journal, exercise, whatever fills your cup, do that. And don't give up. Don't give up. I know it's cliche, but don't give up. And I know it's easier said than done, but I know what the process can do to you and how much it can take from you. And during the process, you might also lose people. You might also lose things that you really valued and loved. But everything and anything that is for you will stay and come back to you. If it is not meant to be in your life, it will not be in your life. So make sure that you understand the process is not just a get a job and that's all. Maybe it is for some people, but it's also a spiritual process of you trying to improve yourself and going into something that is scary, and the brain might resist, trying to protect you. So don't allow your brain to tell you that it's not meant for you, or don't allow the obstacles that come your way to tell you that it's not for you. Push until you get to the end. And yeah, thank you for joining today's video. I'm going to put at the end the document that I put up for the processes, just so that you can look at it when you need it. Yeah, I will see you next time. If you have questions, please write your questions in the comment section, and also I will link up my Instagram page so that you can DM me if you want to. And yeah, guys, don't forget to comment, subscribe, share, and on and on and on and on and on and on. See you next time. If you want more of this content, make me aware. And thank you so much for the ongoing support. Bye guys.